Well, there's multiple white pills of the week, despite the inanity and insanity of the Alex Jones trial, which is the big wins in the vaccine mandate context, but also, before we get to that, the FBI getting exposed with multiple whistleblowers coming forward.
You might have to field that one because I'm not up to speed on it.
So yeah, what's disclosed is to both the Senator Charles Grassley out of Iowa, runs the Senate Judiciary Committee, as well as Congressman Jim Gordon, is what we're finding out is what some of us have been saying for quite some time, but now it's being confirmed by other whistleblowers within the FBI, which is you have a small cadre at the top of the hierarchy of the FBI controlling any politically sensitive investigation, and they magically always go in one direction because of the political prejudices of the people involved who are willing to lie and defraud the process. That's what makes John Durham such a disgrace. Durham was serious. His job was to purge the FBI of these people. He didn't. Instead, he covered up for these people primarily by the limited nature of his inquiry and investigation. But you have like Peter Strzok's wife that's connected, that's now has an SEC position that's looking into Trump's Truth Social. Well, I mean that's a conflict. She should be nowhere near it. But another aspect that just recently came out. The other aspects was you had the same guy connected to RussiaGate scams against Trump. So bad that other FBI agents were texting that this guy's theories are so nuts and his prejudice so obvious that they're all going to get torched when somebody did a FOIA request. That kind of stuff. So he was over the top trying to basically stage a coup against Trump, weaponizing his FBI power. Somehow, magically, some of the exact same people, in one case, the same guy that was principally involved in both, is running the Hunter Biden investigation. And that he illicitly helped shut down the investigation. He was one of the principal sources lying to the press, saying that the laptop was Russian disinformation. And that information came forward to Senator Grassley. And then on top of that, what came forward to Congressman Jim Jordan is that the Biden Justice Department is so weaponizing the FBI. They've been imposing performance metrics on FBI officers, telling them they have to get a certain number of domestic terrorism cases. And here's the problem. The FBI's job is someone reports a crime, they investigate, not they go out and find the crime, which usually ends up inventing the crime or entrapping someone like Whitmer to commit the crime. What they're also doing is they're mislabeling crimes as domestic terrorism because they have to for their performance metrics checks so that the DOJ can then lie to the world about how dangerous domestic terrorism is in America. We need a Patriot Act too. We need to be spying on everybody. We need to be stripping everybody of their rights. So 3 levels of exposure this week about extraordinary FBI corruption. Hopefully something comes of it when the Republicans take back the House and the Senate. Credit to Grassley, credit to Jordan for going public with it. But people like Julie Kelly have been on the front line of this, and Darren Beatty have been on the front line of this. And I've been talking about it now for 5 years. That if you dig in, this is exactly what you're going to find. I mean, this is the classic definition of the deep state. I mean, the deep state is just a dual state, and the part of the dual state, the administrative state that's immune from elected office holding in the public, is in the law enforcement, national security arena, intelligence, military, high-ranking police powers and prosecutorial powers. It's turning out it's all true. It's like anybody thought that was a conspiracy theory. We're just getting truth, proof and proof and proof and proof and proof. But now it's people in the FBI that are so tired of it. Finally, and frankly, some of them I think should have stepped forward sooner, but you have the realities. They see what happened to Ed Snowden. So, not everybody, they see what happened to Julian Assange. Nobody wants to be that example, but they're using some of the political cover of Grassley and Jordan to be able to get the truth out that the FBI is being completely corrupted by the Justice Department, even now to the level of the everyday agent is not allowed to do his job except for political purposes.
What's amazing, Robert? I mean, I when you're explaining it, it's not news to me, although I just didn't know that it had been confirmed by whistleblowers because we've been talking about it for at least as long as we've been talking. It confirms the Hunter Biden cover-up. I still am inclined to view the Hunter Biden cover-up as more not just covering up for the president, but using that to be weaponized against the president. Like they have this intel. They're going to use it to get what they want from the administration. But we'll see if that ever comes out. Hunter Biden, January 6th, it certainly explains why they're throwing around domestic terrorism as the chief accusations in that House Resolution 503, so they can then qualify it as this, so they can then use it for more surveillance. Gotta, another Patriot Act, except they'll call this one the January 6th Act. I mean, it's who are the whistleblowers, and have any big names been confirmed yet?
We don't know who they are. We just know that they're people with access to inside information about how badly corrupted all of these investigations have been.
Well, good. Hopefully that changes something, but it won't, because you got Kinzinger crying over January 6th, and you got everybody thinking that January 6th committee is doing the Lord's work, and that's using the Lord's name in vain.
Speaking of people relying on poor information, all those big corporate employers that thought they're just going to get away with denying and depriving people of their religious objection rights under from vaccine mandates took a massive blow this week, as a major Illinois facility, in a case pending in Illinois, not considered, by the way, a very sympathetic jurisdiction to challenging these issues, to give you an idea, agreed to write a more than $10 million check to the people who were wrongfully terminated or were told that their religious objections would not be honored. And even if they took the vaccine afterwards, they're being included in the class because their religious objection rights were denied. And so that was good to see too. So it's saying, look, if you denied religious objection rights, you can be sued not only by the people who didn't take the vaccine, but by those who did, because you denied their religious objection rights. And it was a more than $10 million check that is being collected in the proposed class action settlement. And in the same week, and a lot of corporate lawyers had told me, there are people with Harmeet Dillon's firm, not Harmeet herself, but other people with her, oh, you can't sue on these grounds early on. I remember I was one of the only lawyers saying, yes, you can sue, and religious rights are the path to go. That's where we put the letter that came to me from the sea in Las Vegas, up by Lake Mead, that's keeps disappearing, and all the dead bodies keep popping up as Lake Mead keeps falling. Turns out you can't trust where you even bury a body these days. Poor mobsters. They should have planned.
They should have planned around global warming, Robert. And it's 100+ feet. It's not like 2 feet. They hid the bodies well.
Oh, they did, yeah. And they put some in some barrels, the old school way, that kind of thing. But nobody anticipated, I guess, the lake completely being empty. But the basis of the template letter that thousands of people used, because I've heard from people all across the country were able to benefit from that, use that to assert their objections and keep their job without having to be jabbed. And people should watch our sidebar last week with Francis Christian to understand the risk of the jab, and watch the one on Rumble, because that has the full thing, because we go into questions that YouTube doesn't like and put them on Rumble.
Or just go listen to Dr. Kieran Moore, 1 in 5,000 chances of myocarditis per dose among a demographic, a very young, healthy demographic.
And Francis Christian did a great job of breaking down how that risk is actually even bigger and so forth, and to help people understand, not to make Viva more neurotic. But but it was a lot of them said he couldn't sue on these grounds. Big win. Sent shockwaves, I'm sure, through corporate America. All their corporate law firms that had conflicts of interest, they gave bad advice while they're representing Big Pharma, or they have stock holdings in Big Pharma, and they're telling their corporate clients, don't worry, you can't be sued if you deny people on religious grounds. Tyson's lawyers should definitely be double checking their legal malpractice insurance, because now it's been clearly established in this great precedent that I think we will see more of. So great work by Liberty Counsel that pursued that case. They've pursued a lot of great cases across the country. I think they're based out of Florida, by the way, up in North Central Florida, I believe. But that was big. And then another big win, a federal judge issued a permanent injunction against the Air Force, protecting a bunch of people, including people in the reserves, from a vaccine, from religious discrimination based on those who had asserted a religious objection to the COVID-19 vaccine. So those are two massive vaccine mandate wins against the mandate, and protecting religious rights in America. And hopefully that will be the precursor of things to come, especially as places like DC and New Jersey are considering trying to impose it on young children as a condition of public education. Or in DC, if you just happen to live there and your kid's a certain age, you're going to have to take it. So that those suits are coming. But hope those were big wins to push back against all of that activity.